Welcome back. If you've ever been to a drag brunch or watched RuPaul's Drag Race, you're familiar with the world of drag. But do you know the history and genesis of the art form? With me now are Quesa D'Mondays and Michael Mendelsohn to talk about an upcoming class titled The History of Drag, Performance, Politic, and Protest. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you.
So how did this class come about?
So Michael and I have had been collaborators for quite some time now when I worked in the theater world, and I still do. And Michael saw me in a production of Stephen Sondheim's Assassins by Fuse Theater Ensemble here in town. And Michael was just opening up his own studio and approached me and said, would you be interested in teaching a class there? And that sort of turned into this conversation of like, well, what classes would we teach? And what sort of stuck was teaching this history about where drag comes from, because drag is a theatrical art form and is born out of the world of theater and has evolved since then, certainly. But it felt very, it felt appropriate to do at a theatrical studio.
Yeah, and so what can students learn? I mean, it's a 6-week class. You're not
Yes.
going to give it all away today.
Right.
But tell us what people can learn and maybe some fun and interesting things.
Well, I think it's interesting to know that for a lot of people contemporarily, drag is something that they get exposed to at drag brunches or RuPaul's Drag Race, and certainly that art form sort of comes from a lot of things that contemporarily exist within the past few decades. But drag, I'm sure a lot of people don't know that drag was born out of this sense of religious misogyny, that men wanted to keep women off of the stage, specifically because men thought it was going to cause wilds to happen in the rituals of Dionysus. And this happened for generations and generations across many different cultures until eventually women were allowed to be on the stage. And you would think that at that point, people wouldn't do drag anymore because there wasn't a fundamental reason to dress up in clothing that wasn't, societally about the gender that you were assigned to. Yeah. But lo and behold, people actually love dressing up in fun clothes with big wigs and things like that. And there's also a deep history associated with how queer people fought for their rights, using drag as a medium for that. And so the reason it's called Drag, Performance, Politic, and Protest is because drag is a tool that is necessary for people to know about in terms of queer history, which I believe is everybody's history, frankly.
Yeah, of course. And you are the studio director, but you took the class last summer.
I did.
What did you learn?
Oh my gosh. So what I can say is every week was a revelation. And what I pulled away from that was the extraordinary lengths to which drag performers have gone to allow me to have the life I have in the world today. They're on the forefront of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's one of those things, if I can elaborate on that, is like, I think that we learn about the history of Pride. We learn about a lot of these figures, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, but there are so many more figures that go even further back into the history of drag, like William Dorsey Swan, Princess Serafina, people who you might not have known about, who were the genesis of where a lot of these movements began. And I think that that's just a very valuable history to know if you're gonna go support drag or watch RuPaul's Drag Race, on television.
Of course. Who is this class for? Who do you want to come?
I think that it is genuinely for everybody. Yeah. Like anybody who wants to learn about any sort of history. I mean, it's not just for queer people, for straight people. I don't think that it's necessarily valuable to divide it amongst those lines, but I definitely think that you are going to get something out of this class no matter who you are. We also do offer a special early bird registration rate, as well as special rates for members of the drag community here in Portland. And so if there are any drag performers or members of the community who are interested, they can message me, and we have special rates designed specifically for those performers.
And real quick, Michael, what other classes can people take at InSTUDIO 255?
Yeah, there's an advanced scene study and rehearsal technique class going on right now. There is a class focused on Boleslavsky's first 6 lessons, the core pillars that every young actor or accomplished actor wants to reinvest in. There is a combat class going on right now. And you can go to InStudio255.com and learn about the classes. They'll all be listed there.
Yes, and that is the same website where you can go to register for the history of drag. And classes start when?
June 2nd, and it is a 6-week course. It's every Tuesday evening.
Okay, good to know. And then, of course, follow Quesa D'Mondays on Instagram for the history of drag information or just fun stuff. Thank you both for being here. It was great to learn. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.